Okay, we're live and up and running. So we'll start proceedings with today. I'll give some introductions. We'll try and make this as straightforward and as easy as possible for people that are gathered here. This is a meeting of licensing subcommittee to determine an application in regards of so I pronounce this properly, Panormus Pizzeria, okay, 53 Albert Road. I'll introduce myself and ask people in the room to introduce themselves too, and then we'll formally go through the agenda. So I'll start. I'm Councillor Jason Pizzacali, Chair of Licensing, and I am, I believe, the appointed Chair of today's meeting. That's the first item on the agenda, but we'll come to that in a second. Can I ask, going from my left, can you introduce yourselves, please, throughout the chamber?
Thank you, Jason. I'm Councillor Darren Sanders. I'm one of the councillors for the Baffins ward.
I'm Alison Harper from Democratic Services.
My name's Ben Attrell. I'm a solicitor employed by the council and I'll be advising the subcommittee today.
Good afternoon, Derek Stone. I'm the Principal Licensing Officer.
Good afternoon, my name is Vincenzo Capazzo and I am the owner of the pizzeria we were talking about.
I'm Councillor Emily Strudwick for the Hillsey ward and also Vice Chair.
All right, thank you, everybody. There normally is a sheet in case of fire or alarms. I don't have one in front of me today, but if there is a fire alarm that goes off, then get to the nearest door. That's about all the advice I can give. I don't actually have a sheet. We gather at the statue by.
Jason, I think the advice would be to leave in a fairly orderly fashion and meet outside the Queen Victoria's statue, which is in the square.
Thank you very much, Councillor Sanders. I'll see you there. Okay, moving over to the agenda, the appointment of chair. I'll propose myself for chair. Is that agreed, colleagues?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Item 2 on the agenda is declarations of interests. Colleagues, do you have any interests? No, neither do I, so that's it. And item 3 is actually moving on to the formal notice on the agenda, which is the consideration of the application. For the applicant, there is a sheet. I'll go through this. It's a structured form to today's meeting. I begin by introducing it and introducing ourselves, which we've already done. I'll then ask you to pass over and we'll go through a structure which officers will advise me on as well. Obviously, we're here to consider your application. You've got nobody with you, just yourself today, is it? No, okay, fine. There is nobody else that has come forward in regards to this. There was one objection I'm aware of, but there is no one here at present in speaking to that objection, so we'll take what we've got on paper. If I can ask then the licensing manager to outline the application first of all. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, members. I will keep this very short, and I don't intend to go through my report in any detail. So this hearing relates to the granting of a premises licence for Panormus Pizzeria, 53 Albert Road, Southsea, and the owner, Vince Capasso, is here to answer any questions that you may have. The application is for the sale of alcohol Sunday to Thursday from 12 o'clock until 22:30 hours, and on a Friday and Saturday from 10 o'clock until 2300 hours, with the premises opening from 10 o'clock and closing at 22:30 on Sunday to Thursday, and then at 11 o'clock on the Friday and the Saturday. Of note, members, you will see in the operating schedule that the applicant had already agreed to the small garden area at the rear of the premises to be closed from 10 p.m. Members, we initially received 2 objections to this application, and once these were given to the applicant, he agreed to limit the numbers in the garden area to 4 persons per table, of which there are only 4 tables anyway, and he's going to do this from 9 p.m. before closing off access to the garden at 10 p.m. As a result of this, one of the objectors withdrew their objection. With regard to the remaining objector, this is a close neighbour whose house overlooks the rear garden area, who has stated that should noise occur, it will impact on the sleep and emotional well-being of his children. I have to say I've experienced some difficulties in getting any response either from emails or hand-delivered letters from this person who's made the objection. The applicant himself has also reached out to him to try and arrange a face-to-face meeting to reassure him on how the business will be run and how the garden will be used, but he also has received no response. Members, there are no objections from any of the responsible authorities with regard to this application, and the application is perfectly reasonable in order for this new business venture to succeed and attract customers. I can confirm that the application was properly advertised in accordance with the required regulations. And as you know, members, once you have heard from all parties, the steps you can take are to grant the licence either as applied for or as modified to such an extent as you consider appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives. The licensing objectives being the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, prevention of public nuisance, and the protection of children from harm. You could also refuse or reject the application should you have grounds to do so. Just before I finish, members, the applicant has provided me with what he refers to as a written small regulation that he intends to have affixed to the garden wall, and I've popped that in front of you so you can read it as I go through it. And it reads, "Remember that you're in a private space surrounded by houses where children and the elderly live. So keep a decent attitude, don't raise your voice, and enjoy a good pizza. The garden closes at 10 p.m. The last drink will be served at 9:30 p.m. Lastly, members, as I always do, I will remind you of the revised guidance issued by the Home Secretary in accordance with Section 182 of the Licensing Act 2003. And it's at paragraph 11.1 and 11.2, it sets out the proceedings for a review. And basically it says that if incidents occur as a result of granting a licence, that could be a contravention of any of the 4 licensing objectives, then the premises licence itself could be called in for a review. I don't think I need to say any more at this time, but obviously I'll be here throughout the proceedings should you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. At this point, we now have pass over to colleagues. Members, do you have any questions that you'd like to put to the licensing manager at this stage? Councillor Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Stone. What is the building now?
Sorry,
What is the building used for now? What is 53 Albert Road used for now?
it is actually now set up as a business and it's
now-
running and operating, yes.
So it's actually open.
Opened last week, I believe.
Open last
Yes.
week. And what are your current opening hours?
At the moment, I am open at night, in the afternoon, basically, from 5 o'clock until 10:30, from Tuesday until Thursday, and Friday and Saturday, 5 o'clock till 11 o'clock.
Okay.
Councillor Sanders, these are questions actually to licensing.
My
manager at this
apologies.
point.
So that's fine. That's okay. Thank you, Jason. My second question, which hopefully will remain to you, is: has at any stage the complainant identified what noise means? Because all we have in the redacted version is "should a noise occur," and that covers a multitude of things.
That's all that's been
No.
submitted.
Okay. But noise is a very specific thing within the licensing guidance, isn't it? So if it's like a classic background noise, that wouldn't count. That is correct.
It's only if it's a statutory noise nuisance would it be an issue.
Okay. Because his definition, we don't know if it's male or female, you've told us. So his definition of noise may be different to your definition of noise.
Correct.
Or the law's definition of noise. Okay, that's fine. And finally, the garden will be closed from 10 p.m. 7 nights a week. Is that correct?
Yes, that was already submitted in the original application in the operating schedule that he was going to close the garden at 10 o'clock every day, whenever the
that's
premises
fine. It
are
wasn't
open.
completely clear in the report, but thank you for doing that. Thank you, Jason.
Chair, perhaps I could just interject. I was going to ask a couple of questions, but it's kind of stolen my thunder a little bit. Just to clarify, the business currently is operating. They're not actually conducting any licensable activities, primarily because they're serving hot food up until 11 o'clock. If they were to go beyond 11 o'clock at night, then it would become regulated licensable activity. It would be late night refreshment. I was going to clarify that point. That activity does not need to be licensed in any way, shape or form, so technically could continue irrespective of whatever the subcommittee determines today in any event. It's purely the sale of the alcohol that the subcommittee is required to consider today, and the extent to which that may aggravate the potential for noise is the primary complaint. Noise falling within the potential ground of public nuisance. And that's the test that you need to satisfy yourself is whether or not it's likely to create a public nuisance in accordance with the guidance in the Act. I hope that helps.
Splendid, thanks for the clarity. Emily, do you have any questions? Just one, basically, from me to you, Licensing Manager. Sorry to use your formal title. Can I just ask, I mean, the business has only been in operation for a week, so presumably no problems over that first week, initial week of trading. Presumably that's the case? Yeah, okay.
Not that we've been made aware of, no.
Okay. And can I ask, you gave us some details that you'd attempted to contact the objector since receiving the objection, i.e. the one that wasn't withdrawn. Can you just give us some insight into what you actually tried to do with this phone calls, this is emails?
Yeah, I've sent several emails. I've personally hand-delivered 2 letters, and I've also hand-delivered the invitation to come to the hearing. And obviously, part of the process, whenever we get an objection, we try to talk through the application, and if we can, mediate and try and get the objection negated and withdrawn, if it's possible. But if they don't withdraw, then we've got no alternative but to have a hearing.
And just so that I and colleagues are clear here, when you say you've personally had it, presume you've given it to them in person rather than posting it through a front door or a letterbox?
I know. I personally posted it to the letterbox. I haven't actually had any contact directly with him on a face-to-face.
Okay. Right, I have no more questions, no other colleagues do, so we move now to the next part of the procedure, which is the applicant or your representative. It's just yourself, sir. Do you wish to ask any questions to the licensing manager? On regards to what he's detailed to us, do you have any questions at this stage to ask the licensing manager?
No, it's all fine.
Yeah, you don't
It's
have
all
to, but
perfect.
it's
No, it's
your
all
opportunity
perfect.
if you have. Okay. There's nobody here from any other organisation or represented body to ask any questions, so we now move on to the applicant's case. This is your opportunity, sir, to present your case to us as a committee as to why you feel we should accept your application and to address any concerns that have been raised by the sole objector.
Okay, good. As Mr. Stone said before, I've been running the pizzeria from the last week. I applied for the license, and this objection come up. So basically, when Mr. Stone informed me of this objection, I proposed to Mr. Stones to mitigate it by make sure that everything could be easier for the guy who put the objection. Included, I tried to get in touch with by messenger. To be honest, I sent him a message fairly kind by saying, "I'll be happy to meet you and to explain to you whatever my try to make you aware that I'm basically not a pub or anything else. I'm just a little restaurant that gonna be closed on very early part of the night, and that I'd be happy to close the garden earlier if he was happy for him. It can make him happy for that, but he didn't respond at all. Then I come up with this proposal for the garden, which we put on the wall right to the benches where the people can sit and read it. And rather than that, I am happy to try the best I can to not to cause an issue, to be honest. So if there is any other way to make this license be submitted, I'd be happy to help. It's no problem at all for me. I'd be happy to close the garden early, as I say, or to, stop people drinking in the garden earlier. So it's no problem at all.
Anything else you'd like to add, or is that you okay?
Yes, I am. I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Colleagues, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask of the applicant? No, okay. Nothing from my colleagues. Just from myself, thanks for detailing that to us. Can I ask, in regards to personnel within your establishment, do you have any security? Any security staff?
No, I don't.
So if there were to be an occasion whereby there were individuals, customers into your restaurant that were in the garden and were causing noise, what steps do you believe you could take to stop that?
Starting from the fact that I install the cameras in the garden and in the restaurant, as a supervisor myself of for the alcohol license, I will do the best I can to not to get to any point where people will be to the level of being drunk to potentially cause an issue related to the alcohol. And rather than that, I'm obviously gonna get straight away in touch with the police or if there is an issue, and I will act myself to mitigate between customer if there is an issue between the two. Also, as I say, as a little restaurant, I'm not intend to make people drink more than what they probably can have on the table and with the pizza. So it's not my source of income. The main thing is the alcohol, but as obviously everybody can understand, is having something to eat with a little bit with a beer or a glass of wine would be obviously the best. It'd be nice for customers to be able to have it. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna do if something occurs in my restaurant. Yes.
Sorry. And can I just check, how many staff do you actually have?
At the moment, it's myself and another person, and the restaurant is with inside is a 22 seat, and in the garden is 4 benches, which is going to be 4 per benches, so it's 16 other people. But I'm in process to employ other people, to be honest.
Okay, so you have a maximum capacity at the moment of 38 in effect.
Yes.
Okay, and my last question to you, sir, is obviously this business has only been running for a week. Your previous experience, have you run restaurants before?
Yes, I used to run one of the stall as a pizzeria in outside in food court, which is a food court in Middle Street, which is really close to here, for the last 4 years. And in my past, I've been pit boss in a casino for about 10 years. So I see many situations where, and I have to react quite easily, quite quickly on situation to prevent any problem. So I'm quite fully aware of how to react in situation like that, to be honest.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. There are no more questions from us at this stage. There are no responsible authorities to ask any questions to you. Nobody else, in fact, to ask any questions at all, unless the licensing manager or the... Yes?
Just one question, Chair. Thank you. Just a simple one. I notice on your sign for the garden, I presume you're going to be putting this up in the garden, you say the last drink will be served at 9:30 p.m, and I guess that means for those seated in the garden area, because you've obviously got later hours on a
Yes.
Friday and Saturday night.
Yes.
So you might want to just... Are you happy for that to
Everything
be-
else going to be, whoever want to carry
clarified.
on drink, going to be moving inside, yeah. If there is a space, obviously, yeah.
Oh, we do have a late question from Councillor Shudwick.
Sorry, it's just a quick question. With this sign, will you be notifying customers before they go to sit outside that you'll be telling them they can't sit there at 10 before they sit out? Are you just having this outside in the garden, or will you be letting them know prior to them sitting down?
To be honest, it won't be on a piece of paper, it will be painted on the wall, so it will be quite visible. And again, whoever going to be sitting in the evening outside, which we're talking about maximum of 16 people, I will be myself or the member of staff inform them that at a certain time the gardens will be closed. So they've got choice to sit outside or stay inside because the limit is 9:30.
Just one more. Seeing as it's been really hot this week, have you had any complaints from people sitting in the garden this week?
Not at all, no.
Okay, we move on to other persons' case. There are no other persons. As we know, there was one objector. The objection's come to us in writing. We've seen that objection in the paper that we've had here. I trust both colleagues have seen the nature of the objection. Fine, okay, it will stay as it is on paper. Then I'll just officially note that we've read that and have registered the objection. We move on to almost the final part, which is the summing up phase. Licensing manager, would you like to sum up?
I've nothing further to add other than Mr. Capasso said that he'd operated for 4 years in the food court in Middle Street. I'm not aware of any issues that have ever been reported in relation to that venue, if that helps you at all. Thank you.
Thank you. So the opportunity now for you to actually say anything that you feel you'd like to say before we then go into private session to make a decision. So would you like to sum up?
No, it's fine, thank you.
Thank you very much then. Okay, well if I can ask you then to leave the chamber temporarily. If you hang around outside, I can't give you a set time how long we'll take, but we now discuss amongst ourselves and we'll call you back in when we've got a decision, okay? Thank you.